So my name is Jaclyn Tacoronte. I own JMT Media. We are a New York City and New York State minority women business enterprise certified company. We are located here on the North Shore over on Edgewater Plaza. We're in our new offices. I actually went into speech pathology as my major in college because my brother had a speech impediment and I saw him struggling with that. And so I wanted to save my brother and help my brother, my older brother. So I went into speech pathology. And after my sophomore year of college, I had to do an internship. And one of my professors, my biology professors, suggested that I also go into advertising as a major, a second major. And the first thing I told him was absolutely not. I do not want to work 80 hours a week. I don't want to be dressed up all the time. Like, what is this? So I've been in advertising, PR, marketing now for about 20 years. And so when I came to Staten Island about, gosh, 9 years ago, my first gig was actually the director of marketing and external affairs at Snug Harbor Cultural Center. I made an intentional, conscious decision of like, okay, this is where I'm going to meet my husband. This is where I'm going to plant my roots. And literally a year later, I met my husband, Joseph, who's an electrician with the local three. And then we got married, had kids, have a mortgage, pay bills. We're in it. We're in it to win it. So yeah, we're here. I decided there's really not that many PR marketing firms on the island. Let me open up my own firm. Let me see how that works out. Staten Island is 6 degrees from sister separation. So everybody knows everybody. And within a week of me starting my own freelance company, I had 4 nonprofit clients. And over the years, it has snowballed into us being one of the leading public relations and marketing and constituent services and outreach companies here on the island. About 4.5 years ago, my company had applied for what I call the coveted Minority Women Business Enterprise Certificate. So there's only a handful of folks that have this certificate, and it's a nice way of saying all of my books are in order, my financial statements are in order, I can start bidding on city and state contracts. And at the time, because I was brought up, born and raised, that we were Mexican American, had the quinceañera, the whole thing, right? With my 15 girls, with their dresses and their bouquets, the whole nine. And my part of the application process is you have to submit a copy of your birth certificate. And my birth certificate had stated that I was Caucasian, because back in the 80s, yes, I'm about to be 39 next week. Back in the 80s, it was only Black or white. That was it. And so the city here in New York said, well, Jaclyn, that doesn't show that you're Hispanic. So long story short, I ended up having to contact not just my mother, but my grandmother. And I ended up learning that we were not indeed Hispanic at all, that we were Native American. So then I find out that the term minority only, because remember, that's the coveted, you want to have that M for the MWBE. So the term minority only included if you were Hispanic or African American at the time. And it did not include Native Americans, which I thought was really interesting because the New York City emblem has a Native American on it. And so I created this like team of elected officials, attorneys to really help us push this through. And it passed. The law was signed unanimously. And I'm very grateful because although I'm still learning about that heritage for my family, for me, having this piece of legislation passed means that other young ladies, including my own daughter, right? Like I'm trying not to get choked up, like even my own daughter behind me has opportunities to be able to, if she decides to ever open up a business, she can bid on city contracts, she can bid on state contracts, and she is identified appropriately. And so, part of my work, my company, when we started out JMT Media, our mission was truly to connect for-profits and nonprofits because we're building this community. And now it's even expanded to this like other chapter of it's not just the community, it's even the surrounding communities. it's truly about the journey. It's never about, okay, this chapter is done, let's move on to the next one. It's truly a journey. And every week I'm learning and identifying with more similarities within different communities and how we can support each other. And so to say all of this, to sum it up, it's really just to always advocate. And sometimes you may be advocating for yourself and you may be the only one in the room, and that is okay. But also to learn that there are people out there that will support you and that will continuously push you through to kind of the next step or the next level. And so I've been able to find my tribe. Like everybody has to have a tribe. So
how the pandemic affected JMT Media, your team, and how you kept your team motivated throughout a time like this.
Okay, so I'm going to pour myself a big cup of coffee for this one about COVID, because I think there are so many lessons that were learned. And so like many, my heart just sunk. I had anxiety, like to the point that I almost didn't sleep for a full 3 days, because I'm a new mom. I'm breastfeeding. So I literally did not even check my mail for 3 months. My husband did the whole hazmat suit because it was so new, brand new. I didn't know what was going on. All I knew is my mommy mode kicked in, and I was like, I can't have any germs around my child. And so I literally stayed in my house. And the first thing, of course, was also checking with my staff to make sure that they had everything they needed. And we all just literally worked from home. In business for COVID, we had to pause, and then we really had to pivot and produce. So we had 30% that dropped, and then the 70% that we had rose to the top because they needed more social media. They needed more video production. They needed more streaming services. So even now in business, my quote unquote competitors, I try to look at them as community partners as opposed to competition, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to put food on the table. We're all trying to keep a roof over our heads, especially in the middle of the pandemic.
I would love to know, what advice would you have for somebody looking to start in this field?
3 things. If you're looking to start in the PR field or marketing worlds and you're young and you're hungry, the first thing that I recommend is get a mentor. My mentor is the same mentor I had when I was 18 years old. Her name is April. She's on here. Want someone not just to give you advice when times are good, but you want them to give you advice when times are bad. How to uplift you, how to carry you through to the next day, etc. So that's advice number 1, get a mentor. Second piece of advice that I would recommend is do not worry about failing. Worry about how you're going to get up from failure. Find a resolution in how you respond to failure, because you're going to fail, right? My third piece of advice is show up and be present. When there is a meeting, you show up, you look the part, you act the part, you do the part, you take notes doing the part, you show up and you're present for the client.
Let's get into Hispanic Heritage Month. Why is this month important to you?
Sandra Cisneros is this amazing author. So when I think of Hispanic Heritage Month, I think of women that are trailblazers like her, that have paved the way for women to even talk about those things, or women to even write about those experiences and how it's going to shape and affect a young lady in Texas moving to Staten Island. Like, all of those things are a culmination of what Hispanic Heritage Month means to me. Hispanic Heritage Month also means the word heritage. Heritage can be your community, your space, your neighbors. So I would encourage all of the viewers that are watching this or listening to this to actually visit Port Richmond neighborhood. Some of the best, hands down, authentic Mexican, Hispanic, delicious food in the world. Martha's Tamales, one of my favorites. Cafe con Pan, best enchiladas, hands down, on this island. And to support the heritage and the community and the culture in these neighborhoods. And not just for the month of September, but go throughout the year. Like, you can't have other foods every single Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Try something different. I look at Hispanic Heritage Month is a culmination of a lot of things: culture, food, music. I'm a huge Selena fan. People don't understand growing up, when you see someone that looks like you and that has hair like you, and she comes from a family and she eats tacos like you, and she's succeeding in life, like that is truly a vision of like, oh my gosh, if she can do it, I can do it, right? And so that's why she's so significant and important in my life, in my households, because I want people to understand that being Hispanic heritage, like it involves everything: food, culture, music, inspiration, motivation, right? To aspire to be greater than not just where you were, but where you're trying to go. And it doesn't mean that it's going to happen overnight. And that is okay. But understanding that you have to grow. That's the whole point. You have to grow. That's what life is. Hispanic Heritage Month and the workplace culture, we live this culture all day, every day. I'm going to actually pull up one of my business cards. So you can see this really bright magenta color wall behind me. And then I think you can see this. Okay, so the colors, these bright colors are significant in San Antonio, Texas, where I'm from. And these colors denote everything from the sun to community to culture. And so we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month every day in this office. It is bright, it is colorful. We celebrate life. We also celebrate Dia de los Muertos, which is a really, really big celebration of life. And in my household, we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month literally daily because our home. So we've hired in the past, Lena Montoya has huge murals in my home, like 15-foot murals that look like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids with grasses. So when you come in my house, it's not like a normal house. It's like big murals celebrating and lifting up the Hispanic culture. With, I have a huge 20-foot pecan tree painted in my dining room because my grandfather would make us pick pecans off of his pecan tree in his backyard. And so that was a beautiful memory that I wanted to live with me in my household all day. So one of my favorite things that I always say to my little girl in her like cute little outfits, you get them out of the bathtub and you put a cute little outfit. And I always love saying, "Ay, muy bonita." And she like jumps up because she's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Culture is beautiful, language, food, all of it. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I'm proud and privileged to be a part and to take part of National Hispanic Heritage Month. And I'm proud that I get to share that with my friends, my colleagues, my community. I would say if you want to support a Hispanic and Native American during National Hispanic Heritage Month, I would say even if you just share one of our podcasts or share what we do on your social media pages, it literally takes 2 seconds to share and click the link. I think what we've been trying to do is always connect the community and nonprofits and small businesses together. And so the more people hear about us, know about us, the more outreach that we have for not just our clients, but also for the community. I would just say a simple click, like, and share. That would make us happy. It's important to highlight individual cultures because it shapes not just me, but it also shapes the community that I live in, that I'm growing in. And so I would encourage everybody to really look at Hispanic Heritage Month as something to enjoy.